For most of human history, a good life was not a big life. It was small, repeatable, and contained, not because people lacked ambition, but because they understood limits. Villages were walkable. Days were predictable. The human nervous system was not under siege. What's radical today isn't speed, or innovation, or even success. What's radical is choosing a life so deliberately small that it no longer overwhelms the mind. Not small as in poor, small as in precise. Microtopia living is not about escape, it's about compression. Reducing the surface area of life until attention stops leaking everywhere at once. Here, slow living isn't a philosophy you read about. It becomes a biological experience. Breathing lowers, decisions shrink, awareness sharpens. And extreme minimalism, in this context, is no longer an aesthetic choice. It becomes the structural framework that protects this calm from collapse. This is not nostalgia. This is not rebellion. This is a quiet return to a scale of living the human mind was actually designed for. This is Microtopia Living, where slow living becomes the lived experience, and extreme minimalism becomes the invisible architecture holding it together. Microtopia living is emerging not because people suddenly love less, but because the scale of modern life has quietly exceeded human tolerance. Homes have grown larger, yet feel more crowded. Technology promised freedom, yet fractured attention. Convenience multiplied choices, and with them, fatigue. What's happening now is not a trend, it's a course correction. Microtopia living takes the discipline of extreme minimalism and applies it beyond possessions, to time, decisions, commitments, and even emotional exposure. This is where slow living stops being romantic and starts becoming functional. In a microtopia, life is intentionally downsized not to impress, but to restore proportion between effort and reward, stimulus and recovery, ambition and peace. The minimalist lifestyle here is not about removing things for purity's sake. It's about creating a contained world where attention can finally settle. Frugal living becomes strategic, not restrictive. Mindful living becomes inevitable, not forced. Self-improvement stops chasing optimization and starts cultivating stability. Microtopia living answers a modern question most people haven't learned how to ask yet. Not how much can I have, but how much can I manage without fragmenting myself? And once that question is answered, simple living stops feeling like sacrifice and starts feeling like quiet competence. The central problem is not clutter. It is scale. Modern life is simply too large for the human nervous system to inhabit comfortably. Too many decisions before breakfast. Too many inputs before rest. Too many identities demanded from a single individual. Worker, learner, consumer, optimist, responder, achiever. Extreme minimalism is often misunderstood as an aesthetic reaction to excess. But in reality, it is a biological response to overload. The human brain did not evolve to manage hundreds of open loops at once. It evolved for small territories, repeated routines, and predictable horizons. Today, life arrives without edges. Work follows us home. Noise follows us into silence. Information follows us into sleep. Even those who downsize their homes often carry a life that remains enormous. Calendars swollen with obligation, attention fractured across platforms, aspirations multiplied beyond digestion. This is why many people adopt minimalist living and still feel anxious. They remove objects, but not excess exposure. They declutter shelves, but not decision density. They simplify spaces, but not life velocity. The result is a strange modern fatigue, a constant low-grade exhaustion that sleep does not cure. Frugal living becomes stressful when it's imposed without containment. Mindfulness feels performative when practiced inside a life that never slows. Self-improvement turns into another demand rather than a relief. And so the challenge emerges. How do you live intentionally in a world that constantly expands your responsibilities, your visibility, and your mental surface area? How do you create calm without withdrawing from life entirely? Microtopia living arises precisely at this pressure point, not as escape, but as compression. It asks a difficult question few are willing to confront. What if the problem is not how chaotic life feels, but how oversized life has become? Microtopia living does not begin with removing things. It begins with drawing boundaries. In nature, every stable ecosystem is defined not by abundance, but by containment. A forest thrives because it has edges. A river calms because it has banks. Human life, however, has lost its borders. Microtopia living reintroduces them, deliberately. At its core, this approach applies extreme minimalism to 4 invisible domains most people ignore. First, spatial compression. Not shrinking space for aesthetics, but for relationship. When living areas are modest and intentional, movement becomes slower. Awareness increases, and the environment stops demanding constant management. This is why tiny homes and minimalist design often feel calmer. Not because they are small, but because they are legible to the mind. Second, temporal containment. In a microtopia, time is not endlessly flexible. Days develop rhythm. Certain hours are protected, others intentionally limited. Slow living emerges naturally when time is no longer treated as infinite. This is where mindfulness stops being a practice and becomes a side effect. Third, decision reduction. Extreme minimalists understand something rarely articulated. Fatigue is not caused by effort, but by excess choice. Microtopia living removes optional decisions wherever possible, preserving attention for what genuinely matters. The result is not rigidity, but clarity. Fourth, emotional surface control. Modern life exposes us to constant emotional input, opinions, crises, comparisons. Microtopia living narrows this field, not through ignorance, but through selectivity. Information becomes something you visit, not something that invades. This is why intentional living feels different inside a microtopia. The mind is no longer bracing itself against endless stimuli. It can finally settle. Frugal living here is not about restriction. It becomes a byproduct of alignment. When life fits its container, excess spending loses its psychological grip. And slowly, something unusual happens. The nervous system recalibrates. Rest feels restorative again. Attention deepens. Simple living stops being a philosophy and becomes a lived reality. This is not a smaller life. It is a life returned to human scale. There was a woman, not famous, not seeking renown, who, like most of us, carried an invisible load. Her apartment was small, yet every surface seemed to vibrate with unfinished tasks. Her calendar overflowed, her inbox never emptied, and her attention flickered endlessly between crises she did not create. She discovered microtopia living not as a lifestyle choice, but as a rescue operation for her nervous system. The first act was compression. She re-examined every possession, not to discard, but to test its necessity against her life scale. Objects she retained became tools of clarity, not distractions. Furniture, decor, even digital folders were arranged to signal calm instead of demand. Then came temporal recalibration. Her days were not scheduled to impress, to perform, or to keep up. They were structured to protect attention. Mornings became uninterrupted windows. Evenings were reserved for thought, reflection, or simply doing nothing. Next, she tackled decision density. Meal planning, clothing choices, work priorities, all streamlined into patterns that required minimal active management. The effect was astonishing. Cognitive space expanded, yet her life felt smaller, more intimate, more human. Finally, she applied emotional surface control. Social media, unsolicited advice, reactive conversations, all curated with discretion. Her exposure shrank, but her awareness deepened. Emotional storms no longer raged uninvited. Within months, something remarkable occurred. She felt wealthier, not in possessions or status, but in attention, calm, and choice. Her home no longer demanded her energy, it supported it. Life moved at a scale she could inhabit fully. Every interaction, every task, every thought, no longer lost in noise. This is the promise of microtopia living. It is not about extreme restraint. It is about restoring proportion, about living in a way where the nervous system, the mind, and the world finally align. And in that alignment, the radical quiet of extreme minimalism is no longer deprivation. It becomes the architecture of freedom. Microtopia living is not about doing less. It is about living at the scale the human mind was built for. Extreme minimalism provides the framework. Slow living offers the rhythm. And together they create a life where clarity, calm, and attention are no longer fleeting luxuries. They become default conditions. Through spatial compression, temporal containment, decision reduction, and emotional surface control, life stops feeling like a series of urgent demands. Instead, it becomes coherent, manageable, and deeply human. In a world that constantly expands beyond our capacity, Microtopia living is a reminder that smaller can be richer, slower can be deeper, and less can be more. It is not a trend, not a movement, not a style. It is the architecture of a mind and body finally in proportion with the world around them. Extreme minimalism ceases to be about sacrifice. It becomes freedom structured with precision. A life lived deliberately, deeply, and wholly. And once this scale is restored, the nervous system relaxes, attention sharpens, and every day gains a quiet significance that modern life rarely allows. If Microtopia living resonates with you, share your reflections below. How would you create your own scaled, deliberate life? And for those who wish to explore extreme minimalism and slow living further, our other videos offer practical insights and philosophical guidance to deepen this journey.